Hi yogi friends, Cathy here. So glad you have come to practice with me today. We are going to have a really full hour-long practice so that you can work all parts of the body and do wonderful things for yourself and your well-being, both physically, mentally, emotionally, all around. This is going to be a good, solid practice for you. So come into your easy seat here, cross-legged in whatever position is most comfortable for you, resting the hands either face down or palms toward the ceiling or sky. And just come into this space and relax into this seat. Really drawing the attention to the breath. Taking a moment also to notice the body, where the body is resting on the surface beneath you, where it's grounded. Drawing attention to the spine, we want to have an erect spine. If that means you need to have a blanket, a towel, a little cushion behind the tailbone to help with that, then please do take that little extra support for yourself. It can make all the difference. And again, notice any sensations in the body, places where you feel tightness or effort in the muscles, places where there might be a tingling, a numbness. Notice your energy level, your emotional state of mind as you come here to the mat to practice today. We're all coming from different places in different states, so the one thing we have right now together is this practice. Beginning with some full belly breaths, really filling the abdomen, coming up through the lungs, lifting the collarbone as you fill up the lungs completely with the air, and then lowering collarbone, letting that air pass out through the nostrils and drawing the navel to spine as you press the last bit of the exhale out. Let's do this again. Filling the abdomen first, coming up through the chest, through that collarbone. Lowering chest as we let the air pass back out, drawing navel to spine. And one more full yogic breath, really filling the abdomen, filling the lungs, lifting the chest, and then lowering on the exhale. Maybe you now open the eyes gently. Let's hold the knees here and really lift up through the spine, lengthening through the crown. And from here, let's just begin to rock a bit from side to side, using the hand to give some support, keeping both of the sits bones grounded. If that means that you don't stretch quite as far to the side, that's a-okay. We're really trying to draw length into the side body here, so keeping the hips grounded helps to do that. Let's lengthen one arm overhead, so the direction that you're tilting is the direction that your fingertips are reaching, and holding there for a moment. Really pressing those hips both into the ground, lengthening the crown, making sure there's space between ears and shoulders. And then we'll come over to the opposite side, lengthening out through those fingertips, creating space between the shoulders and the ears, pressing those sits bones into the ground and holding here for a moment. And then we'll come back to center, and then let's pick up the pace on this movement. We'll continue to stretch the arm overhead and just do it at a little bit quicker pace. Whatever works best for you, make sure to listen to your body. You've heard me say probably before, a little discomfort is a message to pay close attention and really listen in. And then any pain is the body's message to back off, to make some adjustments, or completely skip that move for today. So listen to your body, what it needs from you today. Let's do one more of these stretches on each side, and then we'll come back to stillness in the center. We're going to drop the chin to the chest. Notice where you're feeling the stretch in the upper back, the back of the neck, the top upper shoulders. And then raise the nose up toward the sky, lengthening through the front of the throat. Making sure not to grip in the back of the neck, so just enough of a lift to lengthen through the throat without pinching the back of the neck. Bringing the chin back down to the chest. And then on an inhale, raising the nose back up to the sky. Chin back down to chest. From here, we're going to take one ear over toward one shoulder. And do this very gently and just hold there for a moment. Maybe put a little smile on the lips. You're doing good things for yourself here today. If you'd like to add just a little bit more, you can place the hand, resting it on the side of the head. We're not pulling, just resting the hand there. And then extending the fingertips out on the opposite side of the body. This can bring a little more stretch into the upper shoulder. Holding here while you breathe, releasing the hands and then coming back to center, tipping the opposite ear over to the opposite shoulder. Notice how different one shoulder stretch, one tilt of the neck may feel than the other. Again, if you want to add just a tiny bit of intensity, place the hand on the head and let it rest there, and then lengthen the fingertips out to the side. Bringing more stretch into that upper shoulder. Holding here while you breathe. And then releasing the hands and coming back to center. Let's drop the chin to the chest and go ahead and make some small neck circles here. So just circling the neck gently. Pay very close attention. So many muscle groups here in the neck and the vertebra. So we just really want to take care here that these moves are gentle. The next time the chin is at the chest, we're going to reverse our circle. Just go in the opposite direction. And notice if this circle feels different than the other. Again, being careful not to tip the head back so far that we cause a pinching sensation in the neck. We're just wanting to do a rotation here that cares for the neck and doesn't create any additional tension there. The next time chin is at the chest, we're going to just raise the head up to neutral. And then from here, we're going to raise the arms up above the shoulders, twisting to one side, bringing that front hand to rest on the knee or the thigh. Back hand is just behind the bum, and we lengthen up on the inhale. And on the exhale, we might glance over that back shoulder, lifting your hands so that you know that they are not pressing you into this twist. It's the midsection muscles that are twisting here. Holding there for a moment. Then raising the arms back up above the shoulders and twisting to the opposite side. Again, resting that front hand on the knee or the thigh, back hand behind the bum, lengthening up through the crown, twisting to look over that back shoulder as we exhale. And then we'll come back to center, drawing the hands up above the shoulders once again and lowering the arms. Let's draw the arms up again to shoulder height, turning the palms toward the ceiling and then bringing the fingertips to touch the shoulders. Lengthen out on the inhale, bring fingertips to shoulders on the exhale. Inhale out, exhale in. Inhale out, exhale in. Inhale out, exhale in. Continuing here, imagine really pressing out and opening the fingertips wide and then drawing energy in. So we're putting some effort into the arms and hands here as we make these movements. Next time that the fingertips are on the shoulders, drop the elbows toward the ribs and then bring the elbows forward and up. And we don't want to create more tension up here in the shoulders. So if the shoulders start to raise up toward the ears, lower them back down and just make your shoulder circles a little smaller in order to keep that distance between the shoulders and the ears. So we're inhaling as we draw the shoulders forward and up, and exhaling as we draw them back and down. Next time the elbows are down by the ribs, let's reverse those circles. And again, keeping distance between the shoulders and the ears as much as possible. And if that means that the shoulder circles, elbow circles are smaller, that's just fine. Next time that the elbows are down by the ribs, we're going to release the arms down to the sides and grab those knees again and lengthen up through the spine. And this time we're going to bend forward from the hips, keeping the hips grounded, and just glance forward into a little, imagine like a little puddle, a little pond there where you could see your reflection. Notice where you're feeling this. This could be kind of intense on the hips. So pay attention there. Drawing the inhale toward the spots where it feels most intense and using that exhale to draw the tension away from those spots. And just holding here and glancing over slightly. You may want to put the fingertips in front to give a little extra support, lengthening through the crown. You may even find that you can bend just a millimeter or centimeter further forward. Holding here and again, keeping those sits bones grounded, really breathing into the intense places. And on an exhale, let's press ourselves back up with the fingertips, and then we're going to switch our legs, bringing the opposite leg either in front or on top, whatever the case may be. Lengthening up through the crown, hands are on the kneecaps. And then we'll bend forward from the hips, looking into that imaginary little reflective pond. Maybe bringing the fingertips to rest in front of us for a little extra support. Lengthen through the crown. See if that allows you to bend just a slight bit more forward, just a hair. Again, bringing those inhales into the places where you feel the intensity. Allowing the exhale to draw tension away. And notice how different it may be on one side than the other. We're quite asymmetrical most of the time, so you might get a really different sensation on this side of the body than you did on the other. Let's use the fingertips to press us back up to seated once again. Let's come to face the short edge of our mat and lengthen the legs out in front. And from here, we're going to lengthen up through the spine and just hold this position for a moment. You may want to put the hands down on either side of the body, lifting the toes up toward the ceiling, lengthening through the crown. This looks like there's not much going on here, but it can be an intense position, drawing the navel in slightly. Chin is parallel to the floor. From here, let's bend one knee and bring the sole of that same foot to the inside of the outstretched thigh. So just tuck the heel right up against the groin there. And from here, get the sits bones grounded nicely. If you need to move that fleshy part away, you can. Lengthen up through the arms, above the shoulders, through the crown. Turn the torso to face those toes that are pointing toward the ceiling, and then lean from the hips toward the toes. Imagine the nose approaching the toes, lowering the hands here, lengthening through the crown, bending the knee as much as needed here, just allowing the stretch to come into the back of the leg and lengthen through that crown. Holding here for a moment, feeling that intensity. Again, using the breath to draw the inhale into the intense spaces and the exhale to draw the tension away. Using the fingertips to walk yourself back up to seated. We'll extend the bent leg out and bring the opposite sole to the inner thigh, tucking that heel up into the groin area, lifting the arms up above shoulders, turning the torso to face those toes that are pointing toward the ceiling, lifting up through crown, bending over toward the toes. Imagine nose approaching toes, lowering the hands wherever is comfortable, lengthening through the crown. Again, leaving a bend in that knee, that extended knee. Holding here for a moment. Again, notice how different it may be on this side versus the other side. And then we'll use the hands to press ourselves back up to a seated position in our Dandasana here. We're going to place the hands beneath the shoulders as we lean the upper part of the body just slightly back. And you can place the hands in any position that is most comfortable for you, whether the fingers are facing the body or facing away from the body. Some people find one position to be much more comfortable than the other. I tend to like mine facing the body, but you do what works best for you. Some folks even like the fingers to be turned out to either side of the body. We're going to be lifting the legs up, but keeping the feet on the floor here. So we're going to press into those palms. And if you have wrist things going on here, and this is hard on the wrist, you can always make a fist and place the flat part of the fist onto the earth as your foundation, keeping the thumbs outside the fist. And so from here, regardless of the positioning of the hands, we're going to press into the heels and lift the hips up off the ground, trying to come into a reverse plank. If you are able to point the toes toward the floor in front of you, that's awesome. Holding here for a moment, really pressing into the palms, the base of the palms, and then lowering slowly back down onto our bum. Let's come up into a standing position, slowly but surely. And we are going to warm up the lower body a little bit. So we're going to just make some circles, half moons actually, with the toe. Pointing the toe out in front. You can put the hands on the hips or have them extended out to the side, whatever allows you to have the best balance. So we're just working with opening up the hips a little bit here, making these half moon shapes on the floor. And then we'll come back to center and do the same thing with the other leg. Half moon, drawing with the toe on the floor. And just keeping notice of the spine. We want length there. One more of these and then come back to center. Let's extend the arms directly out in front of the shoulders. And in this move, we're going to keep the hips and the knees facing directly in front of us. We're no twisting there. The twist is going to come from our waist. Pretend like there's a block between the hands. So we're firmly planted in the feet. And we're just going to twist from the waist over toward one side, keeping that block between the hands and keeping the knees and hips facing forward. So we have a bit of a twist in the midsection here. Again, the tail is pointing toward the ground, and we're just glancing out over that imaginary block as we continue to breathe here. And then we're going to come back to center. I'm going to take that twist to the other side. Again, keeping knees and hips facing forward, twisting from the midsection. Holding here, noticing length in the spine, noticing the crown to tail, and the tail pointing toward the floor. And then drawing that imaginary block back to the center as we lower the arms. Let's now take the arms up above the head. Clasp the fingers so that you have a steeple grip, kind of like a Charlie's Angels sort of move. And lengthen through the crown here, drawing the navel in, pointing tailbone toward the floor, pressing the hips out to one side, keeping the biceps on either side of the ears, and tilting the upper body toward the opposite side from the hips. And holding here for a moment. And then let's come back up to center. And let's press the hips out to the opposite side, tilting the upper body over in the opposite direction, holding here, maybe drawing that navel in slightly again. And then we'll come back up to center, lowering the arms. Let's make some large arm circles here. Very slow. Really opening up the shoulders. And the next time that the arms are down by the side, let's reverse those shoulder circles. If you've got shoulder stuff going on here, then you can even make some smaller circles down low if this range of movement is too much for the shoulders. Listen to your body and do what it needs today. One more big circle, and when the hands are back down by the side, we're just going to do a little bit of a twist, keeping the knees and hips again. Mostly to the front. We don't want to be twisting the knees around. That's always bad news. And just letting the hands flop on the sides. And then we'll come back to stillness in the center. And just relax for a moment. Close the eyes in your mountain pose. And notice the heartbeat, the breathing pattern. Lifting the toes so there's no gripping there. Engaging the thighs so the kneecaps lift slightly. Shoulders are back and down. Tailbone is pointing toward the floor. Big full breath cycle here. All right, now let's come to the front of our mat, the short edge of the mat. Raising the arms up above the shoulders, lifting through fingertips, little back bend at the top as we engage the abs, the thighs, and then bending forward into a forward fold. Let the gravity just pull the head toward the floor. Shake the head just a little bit, yes. And notice how that brings some tension out of the neck. And then you can also shake the head slightly, no. Again, that should feel nice. Feel a nice release in the neck from shaking yes and no. Bending the knees as much as you need, drawing the chest toward the thighs. Resting the hands wherever works for you. If you have tight hamstrings and you need to be up here with the hands on the thighs, or maybe with the hands on the shins, the idea here is to allow length in the back of the legs and work toward the head coming toward the floor. But you listen to where your body is today and honor that. From here, we're going to bend one knee, place the opposite, excuse me for itching my nose. I'm sorry, place the same hand as the bent knee right in front of the face. So if your right knee is bent, place your right hand on the floor in front of your face. Take the left palm or the other palm and draw it across the inside of the arm, across the chest, and then lengthen it out above that top shoulder. So the same leg that is straight has the straight arm up above the body, extended toward the sky. And the bent knee leg is on the same side of the body as the palm that's planted in the floor. Lengthen through the crown, feel the stretch in the straightened leg. Hold here for one more breath. And then bring that top hand down to replace the bottom hand. We're going to do the very same thing on the opposite side. Planting that palm, bending the knee on the same side of the body as the palm that's planted in the floor, straightening the opposite leg, and drawing that palm on the same side as the straight leg across the inner arm, across the chest, lifting it up above the shoulder. Noticing the difference on this side versus the other side. Really lengthening through that top arm and lengthening through the crown. Holding here for one more breath cycle. And then drawing that hand down back into our forward fold. From here, let's lift up into a flat back position, bringing the hands up to the thighs and lengthening through the crown and pressing out through the sit bones behind you. Really lengthening there and drawing the navel up so that we can support the low back. Coming back down into our forward fold. Let's bring the right toes back, lowering that right knee, opening up through the chest, lengthening through the crown. Great place to bring blocks into the mix if you have them. That will allow you to really lengthen up through the crown. Holding here for a moment, maybe imagining pulling that left knee, that left hip back just slightly as the right hip comes just slightly forward. Notice the front knee. It needs to be over the front ankle for a good solid foundation in your alignment. From here, let's draw the hips back, rolling onto the front heel. You may want to move your blocks here if you aren't placing the hands directly on the floor. Again, having the blocks allows you to really lengthen up through that crown of the head. I have a tendency, I just noticed my hip on the right side pops out to the side in this move, so I bring it back over in alignment with my knee, holding here for one more breath cycle. And then we'll roll forward onto that foot. We're going to do another twist here. Place the right palm down on the floor. Place the left palm on the outside of the left ankle and just draw that hand up across the outside of that calf muscle, and then again lengthen up toward the sky. You're welcome to stay right here, or if you'd like to bring a little intensity, lift up onto the back toes, straightening that back leg out behind you, lifting the thigh and the knee, the back of the knee up. And imagine again pressing that left hip back and up just slightly, and you'll feel a little change in the intensity of this move. Again, front knee over front ankle, and then lower that back knee, lower that left arm. Let's do that runner's stretch one more time, just to release some of that effort that we put in there. Rolling forward onto that foot again. Let's come into our plank position. And from this plank position, we're going to bring the left palm and place it right in front of the face. And then we're going to just turn over onto the outer edge of the left foot, inner edge of the right foot. Unless you want to stack the feet, you can do that too. That is not in my practice, but I put inside edge of the right foot, outside edge of the left foot, and then press into that palm and lift the right arm up above the right shoulder. Now, if you need some extra support, bring that right foot in front of the body, bending the knee. That can add some extra support. And then we'll come back down with both hands coming back into our plank position.
And let's do this on the other side. I'm going to be facing you backwards now, tilting onto the outside of the right foot, inside of the left foot, or stacking the feet, lifting up through that left arm. Again, pressing really firmly into that palm that's on the floor, bending that knee and bringing that left foot forward in front of you if you need some extra support. Bringing the left hand down to meet the right and coming back into our plank. Let's lower the knees. That was an intense one there. And then lower all the way down to the belly, resting here for just a moment. Let's actually bring the hands into a triangle shape and rest the forehead there on the triangle for just a moment. We need to have a little rest in between now and then. So take it right here, remembering to breathe. And from this position, bring the hands on either side of the chest, keeping the elbows close to the body. We're going to use the back muscles and the palms to lift us up into a little cobra here. Lengthening through the crown and then lowering back down. Let's come up into our tabletop position. And from this tabletop, we're going to curl the toes under, lifting up into our down dog, pedaling the feet here, really getting a nice stretch in the back of the legs. Biceps are beside the ears, pressing the heels toward the mat. They may not come to touch, and that's fine. We just want to create length in the back of the legs. Pressing the weight in the arms down into that muscly part of the hand between the forefinger and the thumb, basically the base of the thumb. And just settling here in this downward dog for a moment. Shoulder blades are down and away from the ears. Breathing here. And then let's walk the feet forward into our forward fold. Generously bending the knees as much as needed, letting gravity pull the head toward the floor. Maybe this time we take a little sway side to side, holding opposite elbow and opposite hand. Just a little sway. And releasing the arms. You can do that shake of the head once again, yes and no. From here, let's take the left toes back, lower the left knee, opening up through the chest, noticing if right knee is above right ankle, and holding here for a moment. Feeling the stretch in the front of that the right hip is the bent. You're probably feeling a stretch in the back of the right hip and in the front of the left hip. Then we're going to roll back into our runner's stretch, reaching those toes toward the body, lengthening through the crown. Again, great spot to have the blocks here to come up, give you extra length through the crown. Bringing that hip to be in line with the knee. Rolling forward onto the front foot. Placing left palm down right below left shoulder. Drawing right hand across the outside of the right calf, lengthening up through the right arm. And lengthening through the crown. Noticing if right knee is still above right ankle. If you'd like to bring a little more intensity, rise up onto the toes and back, lifting that back thigh and the back of the left knee toward the ceiling. And again, imagine just lifting the right hip slightly and tugging it back slightly, and you'll feel a slight change in that hip. And then from here, we'll come down with the hand, coming into our plank. And we may want to do a half plank here. We're going to do chaturanga. So whether you're in full plank or half plank, either way, we want a 90-degree bend in the elbows to lower ourselves down. And then come up into either a cobra or an upward facing dog, whatever is in your practice today. Keeping those elbows close to the body. And let's come up to a tabletop. Spread the knees as wide as the mat, bringing the big toes to touch, and coming into an extended child's pose here. So really lengthening out through the fingers in front. You may even walk the fingers forward slightly. Attempting to bring the forehead toward the mat. Yet another place where you can bring a block into your practice and put it below the forehead if that feels nice. And we want to bring the bum toward the heels. If it's not there today, that's okay. You can also put a block back there between the feet and rest the bottom half of the body there. Always modifications that you can make to make this work well for your body today. And let's bring the hands to a prayer position behind the head by bending the elbows and bringing the hands together right behind the head, maybe walking the elbows, inching them forward a little bit. And notice you'll feel a bit of a stretch in the back of the arms here. And then if you'd like to intensify that, press into the fingertips and move the palms away from one another so that the only parts of the hands touching now are fingertips and tips of the thumb. And you'll notice that moves the intensity of the stretch into the shoulders as well. Remembering to breathe here. And then relaxing the hands back down onto the mat. Coming up into this position, let's keep the knees wide. And I'm going to remove my glasses for this next move. So place the left hand directly below the face, keeping the knees wide and the toes touching, big toes touching. Draw this right hand up across the inside of the left arm, across the chest. Lengthen up through that right arm. And then we're going to thread the needle, bringing the right arm to come beneath the left arm and just extending it out toward the left side. Then we're going to rest our head, the right side of the head, on the mat and on that right shoulder, outside of the right shoulder. You can bring this left hand, either just tent the fingers on the floor in front of the face, or you can bring that left hand to just touch the small of your back. That's another option. Or you can bring that left hand, if it reaches and it feels okay, all the way to touch the front top of the right thigh. We're just going to hold here for a moment, really feeling the stretch in the outside of the right shoulder. And if you have shoulder stuff going on, this is going to be one for you to sit out. You can stay in that extended child's pose. You can go to a more restful child's pose. Or you could stay in that twist with the arm toward the sky. Those of us who are on the outer shoulder, let's bring the hand tilted back in front of the face. Go ahead and press the palm into the mat and rise back up to that extended arm up above the right arm, right shoulder, bringing the right palm right down in front of the face. Left palm is on the inside of the right arm, drawing it across the inside of the right arm, across the chest, extending out above the right shoulder, and then threading the needle, bringing that left hand to just glide across the floor beneath the right arm, resting on the left side of the head, Bringing that right hand, if you like, to either the sacrum area, small of the back, or you may feel comfortable bringing that right hand to touch the top of the left thigh, really opening up the shoulders here. But again, if you have some shoulder issues to deal with, and you want to really listen to the body and allow yourself to do what works for you. We don't want to cause any injuries or aggravate anything that is already injured. So listen to your body. If you are in the twist here, then let's bring the right hand back in front of the face. Really press into the mat as we raise back up, extending that left arm above the left shoulder, and then bringing that hand back down to the mat. From here, we're actually just going to come right down onto the forearms, extending the legs out behind us and lowering the pelvis down to the mat. And the feet are extended directly out behind the hips, pressing into the elbows. Hands are facing, palms are facing the mat, and just lengthening up through the crown as we raise the face to look forward. So we're in a Sphinx pose, and we really are pressing down into the elbows and creating length between the shoulders and the ears here. So really lengthen through that crown, opening up through the chest, through the front body, and then lowering ourselves down. From here, we're going to bring both of the heels toward the bum. And we're going to grab the front of the ankles with the hands. And you can hold right here if this works. And you can feel some stretch in the quads here, the front of the thighs. Another option here is to lift the head and the chest. And then if you want to come into the full bow, we're going to press the knees up and the ankles away from the body, lifting up slightly more in front and pressing those ankles and knees away from the body. Remembering to breathe here. This can be intense on the knees. If it gets too intense, just lower the legs back down, holding the ankles there, lifting the chest. And then we'll bring the whole body down to rest on the mat for just a moment before we move forward. Let's come over onto our side. And using the hand to support the head and the opposite hand out in front of the body, we're just going to lift and lower that top leg. Lift on the inhale, lower on the exhale. Lift and lower, lift and lower. Next time the leg is up in the air, we're going to make some small circles with that leg. And then we want to reverse those circles. If you need a little extra balance, bend the bottom leg. That can provide some extra balance for you. And then the next time the leg is up, we're going to lower it really, really slowly down. And then we're going to bring that same foot, that top foot, and rest it in front of the thigh. Now, you need to listen to your body on this one. I have to turn my foot out this direction. Some people can bring their foot to face toward the front. That doesn't work for my body. So I have to have my foot turned out to do this move. And then sometimes if I'm feeling some tension in the neck, I'll just even lower the head down to rest on my upper arm. And we're going to take this lower leg and just lift it up slightly off the ground, using that inner thigh to lift it up, and we're pressing out through the heel of that bottom leg. And we just hold here for a moment. Knee is bent toward the sky. And then we'll
down, lengthening both legs out, maybe giving a little pat to that leg on top.
And then we'll come to the other side and do that same move. So coming onto the side body, using either the hand to support the head, or if that's not good for the neck, you can lower the head onto the upper arm, extending that upper arm. And I'm going to bend my bottom leg slightly to give me a little more support and balance. Excuse me. One side is going to be really different than the other. So just notice there, lifting that leg up on the inhale, lowering on the exhale. Lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Next time that the leg is up, we're going to make some small circles with that heel, that leg. And then we're going to reverse those circles. This one is a workout for the outer hips for sure. Next time the foot is up, we're going to lower it slowly, slowly down. Then we'll bring that foot, bending the knee, bringing that foot up in front of the knee or the thigh, whatever works for you today. And again, if you want to bend that bottom knee a little bit for some extra balance, that works. And we're going to use that bottom leg inside of the thigh to lift that bottom leg slightly off the floor, really pressing through the heel. Notice if this is different on one side of the body than the other. It often is, most often is. And then we're going to lower that leg back down, lengthen the top leg out, maybe give it a pat. Done a lot of work there. And then we're going to come over onto our backs. And right away, bring the knees into the chest and give them a hug, rocking side to side, letting the low back just rock from side to side, the hips, feeling that bit of pressure on those muscles in the low back. You may also want to bring the knees a little further away from the chest so that the arms can be extended out straight with the palms on the kneecaps. So the knees are a bit further from the chest, the arms are straight, and the only thing keeping the feet from falling to the ground is these palms, holding the knees in place. So we're feeling some pressure on the sacrum here, which can feel really nice if you have tension in that low back area. This is a wonderful move to just provide some release there. Let's extend the legs directly out in front. Lift one leg so that the sole of the foot is facing the ceiling. If you have a strap and you want to put it behind the thigh so that you can reach, that can work nicely here. If you're able to clasp the fingertips behind the thigh and just hold it in position for a moment, that's a good move here as well. And if you would like to walk the hands to below the knee and just gently pull the leg toward you, you can. You can even bend the knee here toward the shoulder and then lengthen back up. But pay attention to what works best for your body today. And just hold in this position for a moment. And then we're going to gently lower that leg back down and do the same with the left leg, lifting it up so that the sole of the left foot is facing the ceiling, holding behind the thigh with either the strap or the fingertips interlaced. Holding here for a moment. Again, if you want to bend that knee toward the shoulder, drawing it in, and then lengthening back up again, you can do that. Holding in this position and breathing. And then we'll lower that leg back down. Let's draw the sole of the right foot to rest on the mat, so bending the right knee. And we're going to take the sole of that right foot and bring it just above the left kneecap. Just let it rest there gently. Take the left palm and put it on the outside of the right knee. Extend the right palm out from the right shoulder. And now we're going to draw the right knee toward the left. So many rights and lefts. Draw the right knee toward the left side of the body and roll onto that right hip. And notice the shoulders. We want to keep both shoulders on the ground. If that means you don't roll as far, that's okay. Just keeping both shoulders grounded. If you want to continue this twist, you can glance over toward the extended right hand. Holding here for a moment. Remembering to breathe, put a little smile on the face. You've done so much good work for yourself today. And then coming back over onto the back, we're going to switch out the legs here. So extend that right leg, bend the left knee, placing the sole of the left foot on the ground. Bringing the sole of that left foot to rest right above the right knee. Placing the right hand just outside the left knee and gently guiding the left knee over toward the right hand side. Again, you're probably going to be rolling up onto the outside of the right hip. Peanut has decided to join me and put his sweet face right in mine. Hello. You can extend that left arm out to the left side, extending out from the left shoulder. Hello, Peanut. Hello, sweetie. Sweet boy. Again, keeping both the shoulders on the mat. Oh, Peanut, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. And then let's roll back over onto the back, extending both legs out in front. Taking a full body stretch, lifting the arms up above the head, lengthening out through the heels, really opening up through the belly. And then coming back to relax here. Let's do a bridge pose before we come into our full Shavasana. Bending the knees, placing the heels about 6 to 12 inches in front of the bum. Arms are at the sides, palms are facing the ground, tilting the pelvis so that the pubic bone lifts slightly and the low back is flat against the mat, pressing into the heels and rolling up one vertebra at a time into our bridge, maybe walking the shoulders closer together, the shoulder blades closer together, and clasping the hands behind the bum if that works for you today. That opens up the chest. Pressing into the heels, using the glutes and the thighs to lift up just a millimeter more. Holding there for a second. Letting that clasp go if you have it, and then rolling down one vertebra at a time. Lowering the bottom down. And extending the legs out into your Shavasana, letting the feet fall open. Turning the palms toward the sky. Really noticing the body, where the body is touching the mat, where it's grounded into the surface beneath you. And let's do a short scan of the body here, starting in the big right toe. And all the other toes, the top of the foot, bottom of the foot.
the heel and the ankle, the shin and the calf, the knee on the right leg, the front and back of the right thigh, the right hip and glutes, and that whole right leg, releasing any efforts, any tension there. Let's move over to the left foot, the big toe on the left foot, moving through the other toes, bringing attention to the sole of the foot, the top of the foot, the heel and the ankle, the calf and the shin, the left knee, the front and the back of the left thigh, and the hip and the glute of the left leg. And now scanning that whole leg and letting go of any tension there, any efforts. Drawing attention to the pelvic region and releasing any tension there. The abdomen, the low back, the stomach and the mid-back, the upper back, shoulders and chest. Releasing any efforts in the whole torso. Drawing attention to the left thumb and the left fingers. Noticing the curve of the fingers when they're completely relaxed. The palm and back of the hand, the wrist, the forearm, the elbow, upper arm. The whole right arm now, relaxing and releasing any efforts there. The left thumb, forefinger, and all the other fingers on the left hand. The palm and back of the hand, the wrist and forearm, the elbow and upper arm, the shoulder. Letting go of any tension or efforts in the whole left arm. And drawing attention across the left shoulder, up the side of the neck, on the left side, around the back of the neck, the right side, the front of the throat, moving into the jawbone, maybe releasing the jaw and opening the mouth just slightly to release any tension there. It's very common that we hold tension in the jaw, so just releasing that. Coming around the backs of the ears, to the back of the scalp, up the back of the scalp, the sides and top of the scalp, relaxing the muscles all throughout the scalp and the hairline, bringing attention to the temples and down to the sides of the face, the fleshy part of the cheeks, the cheekbones. Bringing attention down to the chin, the lips, the muscles beside the nose and in the nose. Attention to the eye sockets and all the tiny muscles around the eyes. Relaxing all of those muscles. Bringing attention again to the temples and across the forehead. And right into the space between the eyebrows. Relaxing any tension there. And letting go of all efforts throughout the body. As we completely relax into our Shavasana for the next couple of minutes, just be here and breathe. Any thoughts that come to mind, let them pass through without judgment or attachment. Just be and breathe. I'll let you know when it's time to come back to full awareness. For those of you who can take an extended Shavasana here, I encourage you to do so for 10 to 15 minutes is fantastic. For those of you that need to move into the rest of your day, I encourage you to begin moving the fingertips and the toes, moving the feet back and forth from side to side, rocking the hips from side to side, taking another full body stretch here. And then we'll roll over onto one side of the body using one arm to pillow the head, keeping the eyes closed here for one full breath cycle. And then again, keeping the eyes closed, let's use the hands to press us back up to a seated position, that comfortable Sukhasana with legs crossed in whatever way is most comfortable, lengthening up through the crown again. Noticing any shift in feelings in the body since we first came to practice. Noticing any new sensations. Noticing any shift in the state of mind or the state of emotions. From the beginning of practice here to the end. Take a full breath and we'll chant Om together to close. Bringing your hands to prayer position at the heart space. Raising the hands so thumbs touch the forehead. May we have peace in our thoughts. Bringing hands so thumbs are at the lips. May we have peace in our words. And thumbs back down to the heart space. May we have peace in our hearts. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. And I bow as I say Namaste. Thank you so much for spending this time here today to practice with me. I hope this practice has brought some peace and tranquility to your day so that you can take that with you out and about into the world as you navigate the space. In your outer world, thank you again for being here. If you'd like to follow along on Instagram, you can find me at Find Bliss Yoga. And of course, here on YouTube, Find Bliss Yoga also. I hope you'll subscribe so you get notifications when we have new yoga practices posted here for your benefit. Can't wait to practice with you here again soon. Namaste.